Thank you very much.
Hi, Catherine. What more do we know about this new reporting into this new investigation into Comey?
Well, Tanya, what we know through our reporting at CBS News comes from a single source who confirmed the broad outlines of this investigation, that investigators are looking at a classified leak in 2017, and they are considering whether the former FBI Director James Comey or someone within his inner circle was responsible for that leak. And I want to go to some tape from 2017 because the document in question came up during congressional testimony between Comey and Republican Senator Chuck Grassley.
Never. Never.
The New York Times recently reported that the FBI had found a troubling email among the ones the Russians hacked from Democrat operatives. The email reportedly provided assurances that Attorney General Lynch would protect Secretary Clinton by making sure the FBI investigation, quote unquote, didn't go too far. How and when did you first learn of this document? Also, who sent it and who received it?
That's not a question I can answer in this forum, Mr. Chairman, because it would call for a classified response.
What steps did the FBI take to determine whether Attorney General Lynch had actually given assurances that the political fix was in no matter what? Did the FBI interview the person who wrote the email? If not, why not?
I have to give you the same answer. I can't talk about that in an unclassified setting.
I asked the FBI to provide this email to the committee before today's hearing. Why haven't you done so? And will you provide it by the end of this week?
Again, to react to that, I have to give a classified answer, and I can't give it sitting here.
Partly because he knew the Russians had a hacked email from a Democrat operative that might be released before the election. That email reportedly provided assurances that Attorney General Lynch would protect Secretary Clinton and make sure the FBI, quote unquote, didn't go too far. Despite Attorney General Lynch's prior connections to the Clintons and her now famous private conversation with former President Clinton during the investigation, she failed to recuse herself from that. The director's announcement effectively gave her cover to have it both ways. She would appear publicly uninvolved but remain in control of the ultimate outcome. Was the Clinton investigation named Operation Mid-Year because it needed to be finished before the Democratic National Convention? If so, why the artificial deadline? If not, why was that the name?
No, certainly not, because it had to be finished by a particular date. There's an art and a science to how we come up with code names for cases. They assure me it's done randomly. Sometimes I see ones that make me smile, and so I'm not sure. But I can assure you that it was called Mid-Year Exam was the name of the case. I can assure you the name was not selected for any nefarious purpose or because of any timing on the investigation.
Was there classified information on former Congressman Weiner's computer?
Yes.
Who sent it to him?
His then spouse, Huma Abedin, appears to have had a regular practice of forwarding emails to him, for him, I think, to print out for her so she could then deliver them to the Secretary of State.
Did former Congressman Weiner read the classified material?
I don't think so. I think I don't think we've been able to interview him because he has pending criminal problems of other sorts. But my understanding is that his role would be to print them out as a matter of convenience.
If he did read them, would he have committed a crime?
Potentially.
Would his spouse have committed a crime?
Again, potentially. It would depend upon a number of things.
Is there an investigation with respect to the two of them?
There was. We completed it.
Why did you conclude neither of them committed a crime?
Because with respect to Ms. Abedin in particular, we didn't have any indication that she had a sense that what she was doing was in violation of the law. October 27th, the investigative team that had finished the investigation in July, focused on Secretary Clinton's emails, asked to meet with me. So I met with them that morning, late morning, in my conference room, and they laid out for me what they could see from the metadata on this fella Anthony Weiner's laptop that had been seized in an unrelated case. What they could see from the metadata was that there were thousands of Secretary Clinton's emails on that device, including what they thought might be the missing emails from her first 3 months as Secretary of State. We never found any emails from her first 3 months. She was using a Verizon BlackBerry then, and that's obviously very important because if there was evidence that she was acting with bad intent, that's where it would be in the
But
first
they
3 months.
weren't there.
Look, can I just finish my answer, Senator? And so they came in and said, we can see thousands of emails from the Clinton email domain, including many, many, many from the Verizon Clinton domain, BlackBerry domain. They said, we think we got to get a search warrant to go get these. And the Department of Justice agreed we had to go get a search warrant. So I agreed. I authorized them to seek a search warrant, and then I faced a choice. And I've lived my entire career by the tradition that if you can possibly avoid it, you avoid any action in the run-up to an election that might have an impact. We're done. This was done in a credible way. There's no there. That when the Anthony Weiner thing landed on me on October 27th, and there was a huge, this is what people forget, new step to be taken, we may be finding the golden missing emails that would change this case. If I were not to speak about that, it would be a disastrous, catastrophic concealment.
You're not the one who decided to have a private meeting with Secretary Clinton's husband in the middle of the Justice Department's ongoing investigation into Secretary Clinton's server. I use the word investigation here because according to a recent piece in the New York Times, you were forbidden from using the word investigation and were instead told to refer to the investigation, which it was, as a matter. Of course, it was the former Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, who up until that meeting with President Clinton was the person responsible for making the decision whether to convene a grand jury involving the allegations against Secretary Clinton. And it was former Attorney General Loretta Lynch who apparently forbade you from using the word investigation. Indeed, if the New York Times story is true, a Democratic operative expressed confidence that the former Attorney General would keep that investigation from going very far. I think you were given an impossible choice to make, and you did the best you could in light of the situation that you were presented with. You may recall I was one of those who felt like, given the nature of the investigation and the concerns, that a special counsel should have been appointed to conduct the investigation, but of course Attorney General Lynch and the Obama administration opposed that effort.
And so what I struggled with in the spring of last year was, how do we credibly complete the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails if we conclude there's no case there? The normal way to do it would be to have the Department of Justice announce it. And I struggled as we got closer to the end of it with a number of things had gone on, some of which I can't talk about yet, that made me worry that the department leadership could not credibly complete the investigation and decline prosecution without grievous damage to the American people's confidence in the justice system. And then the capper was, and I'm not picking on the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, who I like very much, but her meeting with President Clinton on that airplane was the capper for me. And I then said, you know what, the department cannot by itself credibly end this. The best chance we have as a justice system is if I do something I never imagined before, step away from them and tell the American people, look, here's what the FBI did, here's what we found, here's what we think. And that offered us the best chance of the American people believing in the system. I could see two doors, and they were both actions. One was labeled speak, the other was labeled conceal. Because here's how I thought about it. I'm not trying to talk you into this, but I want you to know my thinking. Having repeatedly told this Congress, we are done and there's nothing there, there's no case there, there's no case there, to restart in a hugely significant way, potentially finding the emails that would reflect on her intent from the beginning, and not speak about it would require an act of concealment, in my view. And so I stared at speak and conceal. Speak would be really bad. There's an election in 11 days. Lordy, that would be really bad. Concealing, in my view, would be catastrophic, not just to the FBI, but well beyond. And honestly, as between really bad and catastrophic, I said to my team, we've got to walk into the world of really bad. I've got to tell Congress that we're restarting this, not in some frivolous way, in a hugely significant way. And the team also told me, we cannot finish this work before the election. And then they worked night after night after night, and they found thousands of new emails. They found classified information on Anthony Weiner Somehow, her emails are being forwarded to Anthony Weiner, including classified information, by her assistant, Huma Abedin. And so they found thousands of new emails and then called me the Saturday night before the election and said, thanks to the wizardry of our technology, we've only had to personally read 6,000. We think we can finish tomorrow morning, Sunday. And so I met with them. And they said, we found a lot of new stuff. We did not find anything that changes our view of her intent. So we're in the same place we were in July. It hasn't changed our view. And I asked them lots of questions. And I said, okay, if that's where you are, then I also have to tell Congress that we're done. Really, the central problem we had with the whole email investigation was proving that people knew, the secretary and others knew that they were doing that they were communicating about classified information in a way that they shouldn't be, and proving that they had some sense that they were doing something unlawful. That was our burden, and we weren't able to meet it. We could not prove that the people sending the information, either in that case or in the other case with the secretary, were acting with any kind of mens rea, with any kind of criminal intent.